I paid off the $680,000 mortgage on my parents' house, and they handed the keys to my brother like I was the maid. Let that sink in for a second. No thank you. No recognition. Not even an invitation to the celebration party. Just silence, then betrayal. Hi, I'm Elena. I'm 36, single, financially independent, and up until recently, painfully loyal to a family that pretended I didn't exist when it mattered most. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. My parents' house was drowning in debt. They were months from foreclosure. My dad, Raymond, called me late one night, voice shaking, asking if I could help a little. That little turned into 6 years of crushing payments. I poured my savings, my raises, and my life into saving that house, not for me, but for them. Or so I thought. But last month, something strange happened. I found out there was a massive party at the house. Balloons. Champagne. A cake that said, "Welcome home, Luke." Luke. My younger brother. The golden child who hasn't paid a bill in his life. I wasn't invited. I stood across the street, staring at the celebration inside the house I paid for. And then someone tapped on my window, my Uncle Mason. He leaned in and asked, "Should I tell them or you?" Because what he knew would blow everything wide open. Ever had someone beg you for help, then pretend it never happened? That was my dad, Raymond. It started with a midnight call. His voice low, embarrassed, desperate. "Elena, the bank's coming after the house. We're 3 months behind." I didn't want to worry your mother. He didn't have to ask. I knew what he meant. And even though I was living paycheck to paycheck in a shoebox apartment with a leaky ceiling and 0 closet space, I said, "I'll help." That first payment was $4,800. I drained half my emergency fund. I figured it'd be a one-time thing. It wasn't. One payment turned into 2, then 3. Next thing I knew, I was putting together a spreadsheet titled, "Mortgage Rescue Plan." I told my dad, "This will keep the house in our name. Safe." He just nodded and said, "You're a good daughter." For 6 years, I sent money every month. I paid off the full $680,000 mortgage. I fixed the broken roof. I replaced the water heater. I even paid for a new fence. Meanwhile, Luke? He crashed in the basement for free. Unemployed. Bringing home new girlfriends every other weekend like he was living in a frat house. My parents never asked him to contribute. Not once. But I kept believing that loyalty mattered. That doing the right thing counted. I thought they knew. I thought it meant something. But I was wrong. Because on the night of their 40th anniversary, I didn't even get an invite. And what I saw online that day shattered everything. You ever find out your whole family's partying without you because someone accidentally tagged the wrong Elena? That's how I found out. I was eating leftover pasta, scrolling through Instagram like a zombie, when I saw it, a boomerang of champagne corks popping in front of my parents' house. The caption? "Luke finally gets the family home he deserves." Couldn't be happier for my bro. My thumb froze. The house. My house. The one I kept alive when everyone else gave up. There were balloons. A DJ. A damn taco truck parked in my driveway. And I wasn't even invited. No call. No text. Nothing. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. Maybe a surprise party, maybe a weird misunderstanding. But then I saw Luke holding a giant novelty key and laughing with my dad. My mom was crying happy tears. Everyone was clapping. There wasn't a single mention of me. I drove over. I didn't know why. Maybe just to see it for myself, to prove it was real. I parked across the street and sat in my car like a stranger spying on a life I used to belong to. And as I watched them raise their glasses to my brother, I realized something. They had erased me. Not forgotten. Erased. But that's when Uncle Mason stepped out of the house. Quiet. Intentional. He walked right up to my window, leaned in, and said something I'll never forget. "I thought they'd at least have the guts to tell you. You want to come in, or should I?" What he told me next. It changed everything. What if the house you paid for wasn't even fully your dad's to give away? That's what Uncle Mason dropped on me like a live grenade. We sat in his truck, parked just down the block. Windows up. AC humming. My hands still shaking. He didn't waste time. Elena, your dad doesn't own the whole house. Never did. I blinked. What are you talking about? The house was your grandfather's. When he passed, it was left in a shared trust, half to your dad, half to me. But I never transferred my share. We kept it quiet, to keep the taxes low. Wait, so for all these years, my dad was acting like it was his house, but legally it wasn't? Mason nodded. I always assumed he'd do the right thing. That he'd be fair. Especially after what you did. Then he opened the glove box and pulled out a manila envelope. Inside? A copy of the trust. Stamped. Signed. And here's the thing, he said. You paid off the mortgage on our house, Elena. Not just his. You've technically been investing in property I still partially own. I felt sick. Not only had I been betrayed, I'd been used. The man I thought I was saving? He wasn't even the full owner. Mason looked me dead in the eyes. I've been watching, Elena. Every month, every repair. You earned it. If you want it, I'll sign my half over to you. I stared at him. And for the first time in this whole nightmare, I had the power. So I walked up to that party, not to beg, not to fight, but to tell the truth. And what happened when I walked through that front door was worse than I ever imagined. You ever walk into a room and feel the air change? That was me, stepping into the house I'd saved, only to be treated like I didn't belong. The music cut off. Laughter stopped. Glasses froze mid-toast. All eyes turned toward me like I was the villain crashing the fairy tale. Luke was standing by the kitchen island, wearing designer sunglasses indoors, because of course he was. My mom, Judy, flinched like she'd seen a ghost. And my dad? He just looked annoyed. Raymond walked over, half a fake smile on his face. Elena, this is a surprise. Yeah, I bet it was. I didn't waste time. I just spoke with Uncle Mason. His face dropped. Just a flicker, but I caught it. I know about the trust. The shared ownership. The fact that this house was never yours to give away. Silence. And then, Luke, because he never knows when to shut up, snorted and said, "Oh, come on. You paid a few bills and now you think you own the place?" I turned to him. I paid the entire mortgage, while you were out getting tattoos and freeloading in the basement. His face turned red. You were never supposed to. What? Care? Contribute? Keep receipts. Then Mason stepped through the door behind me. Calm. Casual. Holding the envelope like it was nothing. I'm transferring my half of the property to Elena, he said to the room. She's the only one who deserves it. You could hear a pin drop. My dad's face went pale. My mom just sat down, quietly crying. Luke? He started pacing like a caged dog. And then, my father did something none of us saw coming. He picked up a wine glass, raised it to his lips, and said something that would break this family forever. Raymond raised his glass, looked me dead in the eye and said, I know you paid off the mortgage, Elena, but the house still goes to your brother. He's blood. That line hit harder than any slap. Not, thank you. Not, we'll talk. Just that cold, final sentence, like everything I'd done meant nothing. I stood there frozen. My own father looked at me like I was some outsider who wandered into their celebration. And my mother? She just kept dabbing at her eyes with a cocktail napkin. Not a word. Not a whisper of protest. Luke was grinning again. So I smiled. I looked around that room. At the polished countertops I had paid for, the roof I'd fixed, the furniture I'd helped move in, and I smiled. Cool, I said. Then I'll just go ahead and list my half. That wiped the grin off Luke's face. Because that's the thing about shared property. If you own 50%, you don't need permission to sell it. A month later, the paperwork was filed. I didn't evict them. I didn't scream or fight. I just put my half on the market and watched the chaos unfold. Buyers called. Lawyers got involved. The illusion cracked. And suddenly, they were the ones begging me to come back to the table. But I didn't. Because here's the truth, I didn't just pay for a house. I paid to learn exactly what kind of family I had. And now, I sleep better in my tiny apartment than I ever did in that house. What about you? Have you ever been betrayed by your own family? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe. Because this wasn't the first time they tried to erase me. And it won't be the last.